out in battle with Ahab. Went out in battle with Ahab, who of course was a vile and wicked king. And you can't ally yourself with vile and wicked people and expect God to stand idly by and say, you know what, that's okay. That's okay. All right, other good kings. I mean, you don't have to look them up, just if you recall any off the top of your head. What about Hezekiah? Was Hezekiah a good king?
One of the best.
Yeah, Hezekiah was one of the better kings that they had. And what stands out about Hezekiah? Most people remember Hezekiah's long day. You remember that? Yeah, Hezekiah is the guy who's going to end up asking for a longer life. And as a sign, the sun stands still. The sun stands still and doesn't go any further in the sky. And people kind of remember that part. We're going to look at that later on as one of the miracles of the book. 2 Kings is literally chock full of miracles. It's typically not presented in commentary as being a book of miracles. It's more about the captivity and about the kings and about the vision that takes place. But in reality, this is the start pretty much of the period of the prophets. And you got guys especially like the predecessor, or well, not the predecessor, I can't think of it. Another word for the guy that comes after. Well, just stick with the guy who comes after. The guy who comes after Elijah.
You see me up here with my phone. I'm not texting anybody. I'm actually have my Bible on my phone. I'm sure most of y'all do the same thing nowadays. I remember when I first got a smartphone and got the Bible on it, my wife would slap me and tell me to put it away during church. And I said, I've got my Bible on there. She says, well, nobody knows that. They're all thinking you're playing with your phone. So I'm using my phone. And I feel like that speaking to you all, that what I want to say to you tonight, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. And if you don't know what that means, it just means I feel like I'm telling you something that you already know and that you already are very good at. Okay, in just a little while, we're going to sing a song. We're going to offer an invitation, and it's for those of us who are broken, are weakened, are saddened, need the help of our brothers and sisters, need God's help, needs prayers, and I want to talk a little bit about that. One of my favorite Bible characters is in the Old Testament is Moses, and because Moses starts out kind of weak, then he becomes very strong, and then he has moments of weakness, and it reminds me of just regular people, you and I, that we have our strong moments and we have our weak moments. But in 17th chapter of Exodus, Moses is, in Exodus, he's leading the people out of Egypt, out of slavery, and Moses knew or thought he knew his limitations early on, telling God, I'm not an eloquent speaker. I can't speak to these people. And so God said, well, okay, I'll provide you someone. You have Aaron that will take care of that. Aaron's well-spoken. He can do that. And so Moses wasn't afraid to ask for help. And then when he got help, he wasn't intimidated by that help. Because, see, Moses, as we know, Moses went on through his life, and he kind of grew stronger and stronger, and then started speaking for himself. He didn't need Aaron as much in later years. He did very well with speaking with the people and leading them in spite of all the trouble that they had. And so I look at him and I see a lot of just us everyday people in Moses. But starting in verse 11 of chapter 17, it says, Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephaim. So Moses said to Joshua, Choose for us men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed, and whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands grew weary, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and one on the other. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun, and Joshua overwhelmed Amalek with his people and with the sword. Common theme with the Israelites wandering through the desert, running across different groups of people. That, we can't imagine how many people Moses is leading. We think it's just a small group of people, but it's this massive group of people. And if you are the leader of a city and you see this massive group of people coming, you think, well, we've got to defend ourselves. We're not going to let them come to the city and have to fight them there. We're going to go to them. And so they encountered a lot of this. And God, throughout the journey, spoke to Moses in different times. We don't have an exact thing that says right here, God spoke to Moses and told him to do this, but we have a lot of examples of Moses doing things where we find out later that God spoke to him and told him, this is what I want you to do. And so Moses is up on that hill, and some people, Ed was talking about commentators, and I think it's the same guy, talks about Moses was old and he was just having a hard time holding the rod up above his head, and that's why it would start to fall and they would start to lose the battle. But I can tell you that the healthiest person cannot stand with nothing in their hands and hold their hands above their head all day. You just can't do that. Gravity will bring your hands down. So that's not necessarily the case that it was about being weak. But the interesting part is that he had friends that were willing to come and help him. They saw a need. They went up and they said, we're gonna get him a place to sit, and then we're gonna stand on either side of him. We're gonna hold his hands up. Okay. During that battle, it says that if his hands lowered, they started losing the battle. If he raised his hands back up, they started winning the battle. I look at that, and I look at this, our life. We're Christians. We believe that we're strong Christians, but we have peaks and valleys. We have difficult times in our life, and then we have times where we're very strong, where we feel like, I'm invincible. I've got God on my side, and I'm invincible. And there are other times we feel like just as low as we can possibly be. And that's the interesting part of this story, is that we can get to that low point, and we can get to where we think, that I don't see a way out of this. I don't see how this is ever going to get better. I've been there. Most of y'all have been there with different things that have happened in your life. Lois and I have struggled with what you all have gone through in the last week or two. And I can tell you that this is a good group of people right here, and that you all will make it through it. And you will make the best of the situation. And you will find you will find a silver lining. You will find some good in things that happen that you think are just horribly, terribly bad things. You may never get over them. I can't promise you that, but you will find some good in that, and you will use that. You will use that to your advantage. You will use that to encourage other people and to teach other people. But Moses, he wasn't shy about asking for help, and he wasn't shy about accepting help. And that's the way that we need to be. We can't be shy about asking for help. We can't be shy about accepting it. And we can't be shy about giving it. If somebody needs help, that's our job. We're told that that's how we show that we know God. It's through our love. And if God's going to know that we're Christians, He's going to see it through our love and through our taking care of one another. The church is compared to a body, a human body, and that if one member suffers, that the whole body suffers. Your little pinky toe is this tiny little thing, and you don't ever think anything about it. But you break that toe, and the rest of your body is miserable. You can't get around. You can't do the things that you want to do. Simple things. I did a lesson once where I talked we had a doctor here, Dr. Julie Monahan, and I spent a lot of time with her and talked to her about my lesson because I was using all these technical terms that had to do with our body and different things. And I found it amazing that, like just the simplest thing, like if we get a cut, so many things take place when we get that cut with our body. Our brain, our body knows that it needs to send platelets, I think they're called, to that area to clog up that blood, to stop that bleeding so that the body doesn't suffer anymore. If you've ever known anybody that's been in a horrific car crash and they've broken numerous bones, initially they feel no pain. The brain says, no, you can't handle this. I'm cutting off all pain. And so that's what a body does. If we've got an injury to our body, the rest of the body comes and takes care of that injury. When we've got a member at the church that's struggling, that's having a difficult time, whatever it is, whether it's something physical, mental, emotional, anything like that, that's the job of the rest of the body to come in and help that person or people through that. And like I said, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because I've been here, I've been a member here, and I've been to that low point, and I've had this congregation of people get me back on track and help me and get me through difficult times. So that's what we're doing here tonight. We're offering an invitation for anybody who needs the prayers of the congregation, who has specific needs that they want help with. They can make that known to any of the elders here, and those needs will be met. The members here will do everything that they can to help you with that problem, to help you, to pray with you, to work with you, whatever that need is. Take this time and come forward as we stand and sing.